Hello and welcome back to the Common Colt Podcast, the Colts Podcast with real takes, no clickbait. I'm Josh Hudgens, joined by Dan Hertzler. Dan, how's it going, buddy?
Not too much. Hey, another day, another kind of news clip here of
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor. Man, we wanted to get past this. We didn't want to talk about this
We're talking
nonsense,
about
but
it though.
we got no other option, man. This is what it is. I mean, Pat McAfee. If you guys are familiar, obviously with him, you saw this clip. He makes a comment about Jonathan Taylor kind of being just more than a contract, just kind of almost a cancer in the locker room and in the office. Josh, what do you take on this clip from
Yeah.
McAfee?
So McAfee kind of in passing, he doesn't outright call him a locker room cancer, but he says he heard that Jonathan Taylor has been treating others poorly, people who have nothing to do with contract negotiations. And he kind of said this in passing. And as you know, Pat still lives in Indianapolis, still very plugged in with the Colts organization, has Chris Ballard on just about at least once a year, Colts current GM, has Jim Irsay on just a few weeks ago. So this guy is plugged in with the Colts organization. So to hear that and then to see obviously what Taylor's agent was doing, and at first we were kind of like, oh, okay, it's just Taylor's agent doing this. But then you piece that together with Taylor not defending himself or defending the Colts organization, just kind of letting this agent say what he wants. To me, it's starting to enter locker room cancer territory. And that is kind of a strong word to say, but I don't know. I can't remember in recent Colts memory when we've had a guy like this in our franchise be like, it's just not the Colt way. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, a few things are really odd to me right now. I mean, it's odd again, like you mentioned. Jonathan Taylor hasn't come out and kind of gone against his agent. He's basically letting his agent speak for him and not correcting him at all. That's odd. It's odd that other players haven't said, "Hey, you know what, Jonathan Taylor, he's handling his business. We're behind Jonathan Taylor." Maybe they have. Maybe I just haven't
I
seen
haven't
that.
seen it.
But it's odd. It's weird. It's odd that these reports are starting to now come out about what he's doing. It's just odd that he's trying to make this contract demand on really what was a down year. I mean, he was injured and we recognize that. We know it wasn't at his best, but he didn't put up the numbers. He didn't really have that huge season to now demand contract negotiations like he is. And part of me is wondering if he's kind of reading the tea leaves a little bit. You got Shane Steichen coming in. You look at the Eagles, and yeah, they had Miles Sanders, but they didn't overwork Miles Sanders. They didn't believe in kind of a workhorse kind of running back. They used multiple running backs over the last 2 years. In fact, I think the year before, their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, was their number one rusher. Maybe he's looking around and he's saying, "Hey, 15 of the or 3 of the last 15 Super Bowl winners didn't have 1,000-yard rushers." Maybe he's seen what's going on with Barkley and Jacobs, and he's just freaking out, and he's just making bad decisions upon bad decisions. And the Colts have no other position than to play hardball with him.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. And desperation can sometimes lead to poor decision making. Whether that's in a game, where the Colts are playing a game, and sometimes you have to go for it in a key fourth down, and you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done this. We were down by 3 scores, though, so we had to. And right now, it seems like Jonathan Taylor's going for it on fourth down inside their own 20-yard line right now, and it's a 7 point game in the second quarter. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense and it just feels like this guy is destroying his image as what a lot of Colts fans viewed as a very likable guy. He had a YouTube channel and he was doing these vlogs with his girlfriend or wife, and he came across very likable. And it just feels like a complete character suicide. And
Yeah.
I, is there any way that this gets resolved in a positive way? How can Taylor fix this?
Yeah, 48 hours, we were kind of laughing at it. We were thinking this is just kind of tit for tat, back and forth. Now, 48 hours into it, I'm starting to see this moving into a direction
Le'Veon
that
Bell?
it might not be salvageable. And again, there's something here about Jonathan Taylor where he thinks he has the negotiating chips, and he just doesn't. The Colts have no reason whatsoever to trade him. They're not going to get any value for him. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense. They can sit him out, or they don't have to play him in a sense or pay him, and then that doesn't go towards his contract. It just pushes it off. The running back position as a whole across the NFL, it's bad, and I do feel bad for running backs. But at the end of the day, this is what they got, and this is what
Yeah.
they got to do. And he needs to play. He needs to have a good season. Then he can negotiate a little bit more, or then he can sign that contract. But this is moving towards that direction. And again, obviously, of course, with the Colts, when it rains, it pours. Zach Morris, breaks
Breaks
his
his
arm. He's
arm.
out for 6 weeks. Yeah. But
Jack Moss.
I don't. Moss, thank you. Yeah, I knew I got that wrong. But to me, I don't know how much. And again, this is kind of the one big kind of question mark over this whole situation. How much does Shane Steichen really want a workhorse kind of bell cow running back? Did he see it with the Eagles? Hey, if I got a quarterback that can move, if I have a good offensive line, I can put any running back in there. And if that's the case, Jonathan Taylor's in big trouble.
Well, that's why Chris Ballard even said they kind of want to see some of these guys in Shane's new system, and JT's pissed. He wants his money now. And one guy I want to give credit to, and we debated about this guy way more than Jonathan Taylor this offseason. Michael Pittman Jr. You know what he said? He said, "Hey, I'm going to go out there. I'm not going to let this." Just a perfect quote. It'll take care of itself. I'm going to prove my worth, and it'll take care of itself. Yeah. Talk about, a flip flop there. I think me and you were both going back and forth thinking, oh man, Pittman could really make this a problem. And he's handled it like a complete pro. And I think back to the culture, the Colts, they pride themselves in a culture. You think of teams like, especially years ago, the Bengals, like with Vontaze Burfict, or the Raiders, who have always not been shy of getting guys with character or culture problems, whether it's like a Tyrann Mathieu type. The Colts would never draft a guy like Tyrann Mathieu who came out with a marijuana problem. And now you got a guy like Jonathan Taylor who is a culture problem, and Ballard prides himself in culture. Like you said, this line has to be drawn, and trading him does nothing. It does nothing. We're going to draft another Ben Banagou, a high RAS guy that's probably a low performer. So to me, you make this guy conform. You try to find a way to make him conform and see his value. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you say, hey, you know what? We're probably not going to trade you, but you talk to other teams and you see what they're telling you. Something, because it's not working. It's just not working right now.
It's funny, like you said, the whole Pittman and Jonathan Taylor is pretty interesting. A month ago, we both were like, hey, sign Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Let's see what goes on with Pittman. Now it's kind of almost like reversed. I'm curious, what your thoughts, Josh, on the report about them using maybe this back injury as like a non-football related thing?
Yeah.
You think that's just negotiation tactic, hardball, or you think there's something there too with this?
I think it's genius. And I read, obviously JT addressed it himself, and he said, I didn't report a back issue and I didn't complain about a back issue, but that's not what was necessarily reported by Mike Chappell. This could have been something that came up in his physical. So even if it's not something here, maybe the team's doctors found this. And I think it's, if you're the Colts and if this guy really did hurt himself training on his own, what a move that would be. The ultimate trump card to make it to where you don't have to pay him this year and his contract is extended another year. I don't think it gets to that. I don't think it gets to that though.
And hey, we all know big business. The NFL's a big business. It all sucks, because corporations, ownerships, they get the power, they get the say. I do feel bad for Jonathan Taylor on that part of it, but the way he's handling it is just a disaster. And again, it's just one of those things. Hey, play out this year, ball out, have a great year, show that you are the kind of stud that you think you are, and then go make your money. That's the only option he's got, because I don't see how this ends in any positive way for Jonathan Taylor. He's not. There's not another team out there saying, "Oh, we're ready to give up a second-round pick and give Jonathan Taylor $50 million." Yeah. Like, it's just not going to happen. Yeah. So, what are the Colts going to do? It's just not. It's not going to end well for him.
Yeah, it's something else, man. Hey, nonetheless, it's exciting and it gives us something to talk about here. But football's coming up, so they got to decide it. And I'll say this, and to the Colts fans, sometimes we try to rationalize with things, and I see fans on Twitter or X, and they say, well, he was never that good of a receiver, or he was never that good of a block. Jonathan Taylor is a generational talent at running. This guy is a good football player. Let's not lose sight on that. And if the Colts can work it out with Taylor, I'm all for it. I mean, business, at the end of the day, if they get the money, they figure out how to compromise on money, he's going to be happy and we're going to be happy. So let's not write this guy off. But right now he is being a locker room cancer, but maybe we can beam some radiation in and get it solved and move on.
Yeah, it's a guy that you'd love to have, but you're not going to bend over backwards. Yeah. It's just the wrong position. And unfortunately, running backs are a dime a dozen. So, hey, Jonathan Taylor, I'm sure you're watching this. Hey, Go in, get into camp, play out your contract, make your money. Stop this nonsense. Fire your agent, get a new agent, get back on the board. Let's get going with AR. Let's get going with Shane Steichen's offense and stop this nonsense. But if you don't, sorry, bud. Good luck to you, and hope you find what you're looking for, because it's not going to be here with the Colts.
There you go. Guys, that's our thoughts on Jonathan Taylor. This time, give it another 2 days, and something else will probably happen. We appreciate you watching our show. Stay tuned for more Colts content. Just like this video, subscribe, and we'll be keeping you informed. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.